Welcome to Promo Insiders, the ASI Media podcast that covers the issues that matter most to the promotional products industry. I'm Teresa Hegel, Executive Editor of Digital Content, and today I'm joined by Jess Hiner, the Supplier Salesperson of the Year. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, can you tell me, what do you consider your biggest sales win of your career, and why? Why does that stick out to you?
So I would say my biggest win would actually be the success that I achieved last year. There are a lot of things, of course, that go into such a huge goal and focus point for any salesperson, and that was something that I honestly never dreamt that I would achieve in a single year. Solely as a sole salesperson, and not, of course, a combination of salespeople added to that number.
So, what do you mean, the total amount that you made?
Total achievement? Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the highest you've ever gotten?
Yes.
And it was it a 30% increase over the previous year? 30?
Yeah, it was just under 35. It was roughly about 33 to 35% growth, and it was well into the tens of millions. Yeah, pretty proud of that number that I put up on the board. We sometimes, as salespeople, in any situation, you receive pushback and naysayers and things that can kind of stray your focus. And one thing that I pride myself on is just like I did when, of course, I was an athlete, in my younger years. You put your eye of the tiger focus on, and you block out the noise. You just put your focus, sunglasses on, in a sense, and just do your thing. So I'm proud that I was able to turn a corner within a new sales achievement, and obviously help the company be even more successful.
Yeah. So what do you attribute to that growth to? What were you able to, why was it such a good year?
So I have a tendency to, in no other terms, peel back the layers of accounts and established relationships that I have with customers. And it's it's not something that can sometimes come, with the snap of a finger. You have to really dive into, all right, what established business do you have, and what additional opportunities, are available within a certain organization or a certain contact that you have, et cetera. So I put together a series of goal objectives and process plans for a series of accounts. Not all of them that I have, but a few focused points for some that have achievement opportunities that we weren't necessarily hitting, and really dove into how can we better partner together, how can we work on efficiencies with both companies combined. And that's where we really saw the achievement turn the corner.
Yeah, so it sounds like you need to both really know your clients and their business very well, but also know your own business and what Magnet can offer.
Correct. And we've definitely made improvements over the years as far as where we can dive into outside the box capabilities, and that's where it really helped to bring in the revenue.
Yeah. So this is something we talked about when I interviewed you earlier, but you say people have called you relentless, and that's something you wear as a badge of honor. So could you talk a little bit about why you're proud of that adjective and how that applies to your sales style?
Yes, the relentless badge came last year from a few coworkers that I have, and honestly, like you said, I find it to be a badge of honor. Like I mentioned before, as an athlete, you strive to win, you strive to succeed, and so it's the repetitive nature that I have. I basically form positive habits, the follow-up, the constant touches with customers, digging into new opportunities within our current offering that we have, internally at Magnet, and how that can translate to, what makes a customer successful. A lot of times, of course, understanding when no is a no, but also understanding when no can be a maybe turned into a yes. And that's where I get to be a little relentless with some of our executive team, pushing those specific opportunities across the table, saying, are we sure we can't figure this out? And that's obviously where it's turned out to be something that I continuously am known for,
Yeah.
which I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you do make a good point that it is kind of a fine line. You have to know there are times when no is no, and to push further would be detrimental, to
Correct.
yourself and your business. But there are those times when you can kind of push it and see, like, maybe the door isn't closed all the way.
It's one of those, there are certain things that are sometimes, not to say it's scary, but it is something that needs to be reviewed further as far as what a company has not done before, and
Mhm.
making sure all of the things are aligned, all of the T's are crossed, all of the I's are dotted, so it makes smart business sense, obviously for us as the supplier, but also for the customer. Because obviously we don't want to go and put ourselves into a negative situation that in turn could upset our customers' business, and that's obviously what we don't want to do also. So those were, some of the things where, posing those, well, what if we did it this way? What if we, changed this process, or, implemented this new, capability? Then what would happen? And that's
Right.
where we've seen those things,
Right. So
turn into those wins.
it's not just like pushing the same thing over and over again. It's approaching it in a different way,
Right.
to get like that
Yep.
different answer.
Yep.
So you've been in the promotional products industry for a while now,
Yes.
and
Thank you. Thank
I,
you, Paradise.
um, but clearly you love it here. So, like, what is it that you love about this industry and Magnet Group, because you've been there for a long time too?
Yes, so I've been in the industry about 23 years, about 5 years, 5 years with a previous distributor, and who I joined when I first jumped into promotional products, promotion concepts out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, with Paul Kiewit. Um, he will joke, of course, when we talk about when I interviewed. He asked when I can start, and I said, give me 5 minutes to go to the bathroom, and I'm yours. Um, so, and then almost 17 on this side with Magnet. So what I love most about promo is the camaraderie that you have with the relationships that you build, um, and the evolution of how products change over time. Um, my most precious and those relationships that I hold very, very close to the vest are people that I have met in this industry over the years. Fran Ford, I mentioned Paul Kiewit. Terry McGuire has been a very close friend and confidant, and um, from Bill Korowitz to, of course, a few others at Magnet. Obviously, if for those that don't know me, I met my husband in the industry, so obviously it's something that I cherish. And some joke it's like the mafia. You can't get out of the industry. You can try your hardest, but it's not going to work that well. Um, and there was a small time in between distributor and supplier where I said, okay, I'm going to go a different way, and then it sucked me right back in. So
And it really is. I mean, I know everyone says that it's a relationship business, but clearly that's how you look at it, and how it has
yes,
been for you.
yes,
And you brought up Fran Ford, so that's a good segue into my next question about mentorship and giving back, because I know that's something that's important to you. Um, and I think you had told me that that was kind of instilled on you, but because of Fran Ford's, example. Can you talk a little bit about some of the mentoring that you've done, and why it's been significant for you?
yes. So I wouldn't be where I am today without the people that put in the time and the effort and the focus with me. Like I mentioned before, I've had a few that I have really cherish that time that I've had with them and still continue to. Um, Fran, I miss every day. Paul Kiewit, he helped, mold me into, the type of salesperson that I am. Obviously, Bill Korowitz, when I first started, he instilled the additional sports process of, how you go to the court with the ball, of what I'm known for. So I've tried to take what I've learned from many people within the industry that have helped me, and pose that back to how I can help in their role. So, I have been, of course, in mentoring groups and specific things throughout the industry, as a whole. But my most cherished time is with my own team at Magnet. And my goal every day is to instill one piece of advice or guidance or something that I can add to, a customer service reps or a fellow, salesperson, something that I can instill in them that will help make them a better salesperson or a better,
David.
customer service team member. It's something that I cherish with helping to, provide what's going on in this messy brain of mine, and carry on with how
Yeah.
it might help them.
So what most proud, like when you're a mentor, do you see kind of in action the things you've been trying to instill in your mentees?
Yes, so it's nice to see when, you give an example of how you would go to a customer with a certain project, and give them, suggestions on a specific, situation. There have been times where I see an email come through from a team member, and I go back saying, hey, in this specific case, I would, pick up on certain key points that they're throwing out within that message, and say, next time this is how I would approach it, and see if you get a different answer. And sure enough, sometimes even that same week you'll see how they go about and take your advice, and it does turn the page. It was something that obviously, I had to learn in some cases hard along the way, but if it helps someone's job, that's a win for all of us. It makes my heart happy.
Right, right. They don't have to go through the same mistakes if you can
Right,
steer them the right way.
right.
So can you share for us a few of your best tips for other salespeople, or your tips, but what other
Yeah,
salespeople can do?
sure. Um, Number one, form productive and successful habits. Whether you are an athlete or not, and I keep, referencing that just because that's what I have known for so many years. But form those productive habits that you repeat over and over again, whether it's, making those outbound phone calls, making those outbound email touches. Have those specific things that you do on the regular, and there's no shifting around those certain tasks that you must keep going over and over again. Follow up on the quotes, follow up on the projects, inquiry with projects that you've already quoted, and to see where the project has expanded to, and can you still be a integral part of where the opportunity might lie. uh, Constantly upsell is another one. You know, when there's a budget thrown out, don't be afraid to throw out something that is, slightly higher, or something that's a little bit outside the box or outside the norm, creativity wise. There have been situations and order opportunities that have come into play where I've done that, and the feedback from the customer has said, hey, they didn't think about going that direction, but it was a great suggestions, and we love it. So don't be afraid to, think outside the box, and throw out those upsell opportunities. um, and obviously, I already mentioned thinking outside the box. For those that do know me, there are just some wackadoo things that form in this head of mine, and then of course spew out my mouth.
So, like, wait, do
Um,
you have an example of something wackadoo that you've suggested?
so it's the it's the sarcasm in me sometimes that comes out with the okay, stretching the theme a little bit too much. You know, you put me Johnny on the spot. I can't necessarily give you an exact example, but it's something where even in conversations of brainstorming or whatnot, there might be something that I say, and then it's the chuckles that start, and then the heads that go down, or the eye rolls. It's like, oh, Jess, here we go again. You're on planet Mars and we're brainstorming for a project, and you've taken it completely a different angle. But um, you know,
But that works
don't be
sometimes.
yes, don't be afraid to push boundaries, and put certain specific things in motion that might bring new success in a different way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think part of it too, I guess, is just kind of being a little fearless then, because, some people would be too afraid to bring up kind of out of left field ideas because, what if they're laughed at? What if they're shot down? But what if they're not? And
Exactly
you just
that.
have to be able to get over that kind of fear
Right.
of doing
Yep.
that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Jess, is there anything else that you wanted to add that we haven't gone over?
It's when I got the notice, when I got the email that I was nominated and considered for the award. It was something. Obviously, it's very humbling. Um, you know, any any salesperson likes recognition, but this is a different level of recognition that it hasn't necessarily sunk in yet of others that were in the mix. And obviously, anyone that was in the consideration pool is I'm humbled that I was even thrown into the mix to be someone that was reviewed for consideration here. So I want to thank, of course, my company. I want to thank ASI and others that were involved in the process, but also, just share that, when you're true to yourself, when you're true to what is right, and how you can help other people, the success can come in more ways than one. And then obviously this is a true example. Um, so I appreciate the faith that both my company and my customers have in the work that I provide to them in order to be successful together. So
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jess. This has been a pleasure. Excuse me. Once again, for ASI, I'm Teresa Hegel, and this was Promo Insiders.